Alright, so in this video we'll go over a couple points of what it takes to remove the water pump and the Opti spark of a LT1. And the one thing you'll need to do, especially on this car, is that you will need to move this air pump. It's kind of in the way of the 3 bolts on this side that attach the water pump to your motor. You got some air lines there, and that's about it. If you've got, that's a custom air filter, so if you have your normal air box, all that will have to come out. So you need to undo your belt, obviously, and I think, for me anyways, it really seemed easiest just to do it from underneath the car. So let's come under here. Obviously, you gotta drain your coolant there. I just put a small hose on there and then drained as much, gravity bled as much from into that super clean container, so I wouldn't have to strain as much, and it seemed to work. So you drain that, and then you start moving your hoses. Thankfully, many of them will just kind of bend out of the way, which is nice. You will need to undo the shroud piece for your electric fans, and either move them or remove them in order to get the water pump out. I need to clean the face for the water pump. See that there? I've sprayed some super clean on there to let it sit in, and we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Next, once you got your fuel line or your coolant lines, go ahead. You'll need to undo your there we go. You'll need to undo your dampener. Those are, I think, 3 5/8 bolts. If you go ahead and leave the belt on there, that makes it a little bit easier. You can use a screwdriver or whatnot to remove that. Next, let's see, go ahead and remove your belt. Got your dampener off. You can go ahead and start taking out the bolts for your water pump. Those are 15s. I believe you, let's see here. I believe that there's 3 bolts on there. We'll look at the water pump here in a minute. But 3 bolts. 1 is short, 2 are long on each side, and one of them is a bracket for that air pump. So that's one thing to look at. Let's see. Next, what else there? So you got your water pump off. Kind of just wiggle it gently off of the shaft up there. That's where it connects. And then you've got your bolts for your distributor. You can undo your wires and place them in an easy, convenient place, and then you can go ahead and take that off. And obviously the reverse is about the same. One thing I'm going to do when I put this new distributor on is I'm going to put a ring of silicone around the base and let that set up, so that when I put it to right here, because you want to line up this pin with your distributor, so that's going to help. It's imperative to set your timing correctly to line up with that pin, but that'll help seal it even better from a potential leaky water pump or whatnot. And then we'll tighten that down, not super tight, but just tighten it down. We'll hook up our wires. Thankfully, I've set my wires up with the little number tabs, and for tonight that's all we can do, because I'm waiting for a water pump to come still. Kind of disappointed with how long that's taken, but such is life. So it's really not that hard. It really doesn't take any specialty tools. The guy who has like the accent tools to get it off. So, but yeah, this ignition system stuff's really a pain. There's a lot of details that play into it. There's a lot of different testing that you can use to check it better. But for me, I figured, well, I've done some research a little bit. I haven't done a lot of the voltmeter test and all that, which may have been a smart idea. But I haven't done that. But just reading the symptoms, comparing it, LS1 Tech, Z28 forums, etc. It really sounds like it's the Opti Spark. So this is an experiment. We're going to find out if I'm right. And we'll keep you guys posted. A mosquito in my ear. Alrighty, so I'm looking at my book here, service manual, for the doing the distributor. on the Firebird, and we're at 64.8 about the replacing. So put distributor in position with drive shaft into camshaft. Well, that's pretty obvious. Rotate distributor coupling until camshaft sprocket pin aligns with camshaft sprocket. We'll look at that. That's this piece right here fitting onto the pin that's right here. And do not attempt to fully seat distributor using bolts and screws. You got to make sure that it's on there properly first. So we're going to grab a ratchet here. We got our bolts, we got our distributor. It's kind of interesting. This is really all the tools it took to do this job so far. So kind of impressive. Not sure how good the visual will be here, but we're going to give this a try and see how it goes. So I'm going to put you all like right here on the ground, pointing up, and we'll see how that does. But first, there is the pin on the dowel. So we put some RTV around the base of the distributor, and that's going to seat right up here. So we're going to wipe this down with our brake cleaner to make sure that this seats correctly. So you got one bolt hole, one bolt hole, one bolt hole. My sinuses get more aggravated when I'm down here in the ground, apparently. Alright, so there's that. We'll see how well that works. If it gets damaged, you know, Bear's gonna be off with my head. No more videos. Can't damage the GoPro. Whatever can happen to Todd, but don't let anything happen to the GoPro. You know how it goes. Alright, so Alright, so the basic point is that you can see how hard it is to get this on here, so I'm not going to continue running it that long. You get the general idea. So we're going to pause this and I'll come back to you when we're ready. Alrighty, so it took a little bit, but we finally got the distributor on there. It's really important to get the correct slot kind of lined up, and then it's kind of a two-stage press. You press it on, and there's like a, probably that width of the head of that bolt, that much of it, and then you kind of just twist it back and forth until you feel the pin hit the slot. So thankfully with this distributor, let me show you. With the MSD, it made it a little bit trickier because you want this pinhole right here to go, but the depth of these were all about the same, so it would be easier to confuse. Thankfully with this other distributor, this is a deep hole, these are deep, but these holes right here are shallow. So thankfully, from what it looks like, I have it in there correctly. So book says you got one bolt here, one bolt up over there, and then one bolt on this side. It says the book says 106 inch-pounds, so we're going to start at 50 and then go to 106 from there. So let's see if we can knock this out here. There's 150. Then we'll plug in our vacuum lines. Then we'll plug in our harness control, or harness. Yep. It's a cheap inch-pound ratchet, but it does work. Get in there. Alright, so we'll go ahead and run up to, we got it up to 50, we'll go ahead and run up to 106-ish. But we're going to turn off the camera, and we're basically wrapped up for the day anyways, but not real hard, but it's a little tedious. I'm just going to put on another vent line here, put on the dampener, and we'll be good. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, it's Saturday, and guess what? We're working on the Firebird. Started this last Saturday with the water pump and the cheap Opti spark, so we're going to try to finish it up today. Got the water pump on Thursday night after work. Was too tired and lazy to work last night, so we're going to see if we can wrap it up together. Just went to O'Reilly's after I got donuts. Got a new thermostat stick in here. Got the water pump bolted down. We need to assemble everything else, put the fans back in, belt back on, hoses on. Then I need to torque down the dampener. The torque for the bolts on the water pump is 30. There is an inch-pound torque for the Opti spark, and I forget what that is, but you should be able to Google that or look it up in the service manual. And the bolt torque for the dampener is 60 foot-pounds. So I'm going to wait till I get the belt back on and everything, give it a little bit more tension, and stick that on. So we are going to, really should be pretty simple. I think the most difficult issue will be getting the antifreeze in and bleeding it. From what I remember last time, that was the trickiest thing. So we'll get it running, make sure it sounds good. We got our wire, our harness connected to the new Opti. So we're gonna get going, see if we can run it today, drive it, and see if the Opti was the main issue, and just hopefully it'll run a little bit better while we get our information, parts, and sources together for the LS swap, hopefully. So I'm gonna get to work here, and we'll keep you updated. Alright, so I think we've got maybe 30 minutes have transpired. So we got some wires hooked up, we got hoses hooked up, we've got our thermostat in, and get ready to put our housing on. So that's a 180-degree thermostat from O'Reilly's. I think it was like 10 bucks. So we're getting pretty close. Already added some fluid. Of course, I got pumping it so much, or putting it in, that it started coming out here. So that was brilliant. But we're pretty close to wrapping everything up. I need to figure out which... there it is. I was looking for my coolant sensor wire. There it is right there. So, alright, we'll keep going. And once I figure out the torque for these, I'll let you know. Alrighty, so we have everything back together, I think. All the, I didn't have any extra bolts or screws or anything, so get everything hooked back up. So we went ahead and just decided to stick with the air pump for right now, so don't throw any more codes or give it any more issues not to run correctly. And let's see, just pop off some fluid there, have to bleed it. Have not started yet, so you'll get to be here for the first start. Let me go ahead and put this on a tripod there. Alright, so we're going to top off a little water, a little antifreeze. We were able to recover probably about 1.5 gallons. So we'll see if we can see what it takes to get it right here. I did forget to check the power steering pulley to make sure we're not rubbing any spark plug wires. So let's do that. Move you over here for a second. Everything looks pretty clear. Let me look underneath real quick. Oh. As far as I can tell, we look pretty good, so I'm a little bit nervous, but let's go ahead and crank her up. Or him, Phineas. Alright, so we still had a code, but that was the O2 sensor, which last Saturday I unplugged the O2 sensors just to see what that would do. So that was the code, that was the issue there. So I cleared that, we'll see what it does. I think I'm still hearing the miss. So far so good, but we're not quite up to pressure yet. No check engine lights at the moment, but still we haven't driven it, we haven't accelerated, it hasn't gotten warm, so not really any good information at the moment. So there we go, right there. Whoa, sorry about that. Yeah, right there below middle. So not terrible. So the thermostat obviously is opened up, and we did the pressure there, and no air fluid came out that time. So we must have it pretty well ready. No check engine lights, so that's good, but like I said, we still haven't driven it yet. So.